It is another disaster for the world's cultural heritage as ISIS has destroyed ancient Muslim shrines in Palmyra in Syria. There, in Iraq, in Libya, and in Afghanistan, historic treasures are under threat from radicals. But in one place, in rural Afghanistan, it's actually economic development that's threatening a Buddhist heritage site. The place is called Mes Aynak. It's about 2,000 years old, hardly excavated, and holds a wealth of statues, temples, and other artifacts. But beneath the site lie huge copper reserves worth tens of billions of dollars. A Chinese state-owned mining company bought the rights to exploit the copper in 2007. Filmmaker Brent Huffman spent 4 years documenting the work at Mes Aynak and trying to save it. Brent Huffman, thank you for joining the program. And first of all, the question is, Logar province, and especially that part of Logar province, is a pretty barren piece of land. Most motorists that go through that area try to get through as fast as possible. Were you surprised at how untouched it was, but also how elaborate it was as well?
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, it was a very Indiana Jones kind of experience. We drove out into Taliban country to see the site. Immediately, the Afghan archaeologists welcomed me and wanted to show me around. And I found the site to be absolutely awe-inspiring. Very much like a Machu Picchu or a Pompeii, just a sprawling, epic city with over 600 life-size or larger Buddha statues, temples, dozens of temple structures, this enormous circular complex. So I was pretty blown away, to say the least.
Something like that, you would think that an excavation would take years, and then this would become probably a tourist attraction if Afghanistan ever gets to that state. But right now, what people are talking about is trying to save the place, at least for a little while, before these companies go in there. How big is the threat?
The threat is pretty enormous, and the threat comes not only from this Chinese government-owned company, but it also comes from the threat of looters, the threat of instability in the region. There is only a skeleton crew of archaeologists working at the site right now. So unfortunately, there's kind of a perfect storm of threat happening in different ways at Mes Aynak. The threat of complete demolition of the site, though, is the most pressing one, and now is really the time to take action.
There's very few people who know what a rich cultural heritage Afghanistan actually has, and it was only really with the destruction of the Buddhas in Bamiyan that people realized that there was a strong Buddhist heritage there as well. How important is Mes Aynak and all that?
Mes Aynak is extremely important in painting that picture of the incredible Buddhist heritage in the country. Shockingly, the way in 2001 that the Buddhas of Bamiyan were blown up, were detonated, the destruction of Mes Aynak would look exactly the same. The big explosion of the site. Tragically, only about 10% of Mes Aynak has been excavated, so a very small amount.
What do you think could be a realistic way of protecting the site, allowing Afghanistan to have its economic development that it needs, but also, of course, providing the security that these archaeologists need to do their work?
Maybe the easiest way is to mine in a different way. The copper mining doesn't have to destroy the entire site. It doesn't have to be open pit style copper mining, which as we talked about is extremely environmentally destructive, as well as it would have to destroy the whole site. There's potentially a win-win scenario, but it would need a strong Afghan government. It would need oversight. It would need regulation. It would need environmental protection. And as you said, it would need significant security as well to make it work. But I'm very hopeful that can be achieved.
Brent Huffman, thank you for joining the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Certainly very much worth watching. And on July 1st, so next week, the film will be free online for anyone in Afghanistan to watch. And afterwards, the director, Brent Huffman, will travel to Kabul to petition President Ashraf Ghani directly in the hope that this priceless piece of the country's heritage may yet be saved.